It's always interesting, the delay on this end before it actually shows that we're.
Oh, I should record, remember? I was going to record as well.
Oh, yes.
Will you allow me to record local?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right, we are live. Hang on, everybody. We are coming. We're just trying to get our
Together.
technology sorted because we forgot earlier. Okay. All right, Madelaine, see if that'll let you do it.
Thank you. It's gonna let me do it. Do I see recording?
Here we go. I'm going to do one more change. And I think we're going to be good to go.
It's not letting me. I don't know yet how to record. I'm not seeing the record button quite yet. Pause recording.
All right. Sorry, folks. Hang in there with us.
Forgot to. Oh, recording. How did I?
Sorry, folks. Hang in there with us.
We're Zoom recording. Well, it's never recording it as well. So whatever. We'll just keep going.
Well, yeah, we'll just, instead of getting distracted.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, hey, everybody, obviously Madelaine and Amalia here, and we are talking about the upcoming new moon in Scorpio. You probably, I would say most of you are likely feeling some of the scorpionic effects. Madelaine and I were talking about that before. So before we get into that, let me introduce myself. I am Amalia Natalio of KarmicKindness. I offer folks a space to get to know themselves through the lens of relationships, calibrating based on what's coming up in your life and tuning into and really centering you in the truth of who you are. And I do that using different spiritual sciences, astrology being one of them, but also a plethora of other ones, intuitive guidance, energy medicine, bringing in plant medicine and other healing modalities to help you on your path. And then with joining me, my compatriot and co-hostess with the mostest, Madelaine Parker. And Madelaine, I don't know if you want to say a couple things about your magic and your wisdom that you share.
Well, I was just thinking about you, what you were just saying just now about how you're, and we were talking earlier about how you're Scorpio, and we're talking about the Scorpio new moon, and everything you just said that you did is so Scorpio. It's like you're going in and digging in on people's darkness and where they've lost their light, and you like have this detective approach to it where we'll get down to the nitty gritty, and that's Scorpio. It's like we'll dig into the underworld, we'll find it, which I love. Yes, I am an astrologer, tarot card reader, and I basically do sessions on Zoom. People call me and we do sessions. We pull in your chart, we see what's going on. I help align you into higher actions that are more in alignment with your highest destiny and help you through some of these challenges that show up in our lives for everybody. So yes, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And I think the beauty of what Madelaine and I do and our intention with these cosmic chats is to support our clients, current clients, potential new clients, and people who may not ever work personally with us, but really feel called to listen in every 2 weeks when we do these cosmic chats talking about the cosmic energies and particularly how the moon cycles are affecting us directly. And what I find with the moon, the moon is connected to our inner world. It's connected to divine. It's this almost the inner waters of ourself. And that's so much a part of what this particular moon cycle is about, specifically to a Scorpio, but going into the depths, going into the darkness of those waters, and maybe finding that or discovering a cave, or maybe you've noticed a cave under the water that you've been, I'm not going to go there. And now you're like, oh man, I'm really kind of curious, or it's really calling to me. I feel like I need to go into that. I've got a couple of somewhat intuitive or channeled messages around the Scorpio moon that I want to share. But before we do that, here's some details. The new moon is tomorrow, November 13th at 4:27 a.m. Eastern, which would be 7:27 a.m. Pacific. And
I think it's earlier. I have it at, just so you know, I have it on the chart as 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. But pop
Oh,
it
you're
up.
right. Yes, you're right. I went the wrong way.
That's okay.
Yeah, I went the wrong way. Pacific. So Pacific would actually be 1:30 in the morning versus 7:30. So my bad. Thank you for mentioning that, because people in the Pacific time zone will be like, what? 7:30? That makes no sense. So yes, because the East Coast is going to,
I get confused too. I do that.
Okay.
I think it's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got that backwards. So yeah, so I'm in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. So I know for sure it's 4:27 a.m. here. Madelaine's the Pacific time zone, so 1:27 a.m. Pacific. So Madelaine, really quickly, before we dive into the specifics and before I share this message that came through that I'd like to share with everyone, can you give us a little bit of an overview of how you are reading the energy for the Scorpio new moon? Like, what are kind of the key themes or highlights that people can look for?
Yeah, well, it's conjoining Mars, which is in the sign of Scorpio. The sun is in the sign of Scorpio. It's going to be at 20 degrees. It's opposing Uranus. I'll pop the chart up in a minute when we're ready for that, but we'll look at the whole picture. It's an interesting new moon. It's I don't know how much you want me to get into it yet, but we are obviously, it's intense because it's Scorpio, and Scorpio rules that which the sun does not shine on, that which that which is dark. It's the underbody, it's the sexual organs, and it's basically it's the desires. It's because it's ruled by Mars, so it's a desire, and Mars is conjoining it, so it's even more stronger. But the question is, are we, because Scorpio, there's two Scorpios, because we've got Scorpio is the energy of transformation, and the whole point of Scorpio is that you become from lower desire to higher desire. So this is, we'll look at it for everybody, for all the 12 signs, but we're basically seeing a transformation with that Uranian opposition, where we become awakened to the higher desire, which is usually experienced or sought after having experienced the trauma and the pain of the lower desire. So we're looking at a transformational new moon.
Okay, so this is so perfect and connects very much with my Flower Friday card. So for those who are familiar or unfamiliar with this, so actually here on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, on my KarmicKindness page, I share a Flower Friday card. And the Flower Friday card is based on a LOTUSWEI flower deck that I use in these readings, Flower Evolution deck. And the card this past Friday was the squash blossom. And the squash blossom, what it tells us is it's about liberation. It's about freedom within your body. It's clearing out what are things from the past, clearing out what isn't yours, connecting in with your sexual or sensual side. And so this being the card for the week is so perfect for this new moon in particular. Yes. And it really, to me, it really shines a spotlight on the areas that, like I mentioned before, like those hidden dark caves underwater in our emotional landscape that we tend to not go into. Right now, they're going to be revealed to us, and we have a choice. We always have a choice as to what do we go in, do we explore, do we remove the gold and leave the rest. And this is the perfect time to do it. You will be supported by the cosmos.
Yeah, well, so Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto is plumbing. It's the underworld. It's poo. It's excretion. It's like, yeah. And basically those darker areas, they become stagnant, and if they and they're unseen, and they become more and more infested with darkness and poison. Poison is also like an 8th house Scorpio thing. So it's a detoxing energy where you bring the light in, and you open up and you air out these darker recesses that need airing out, and the plumbing, sometimes plumbing needs to get flushed out and cleaned out. Your system probably, like you're talking about. You have Mars in your first house, Scorpios in their first house, they're probably detoxifying. They're probably really purging and their bodies, it would be a good time to go through a cleanse and a fasting even maybe. So it's definitely the transformative part of the astrology chart. in astrology, the energies of that. And it's important because these are all cycles that are important for our progress as souls. And the Scorpio energy is like, it's weird because not only do you, it's not about denial. It's kind of the opposite. Not only do you go in and deal with something that has to be dealt with, that has become like a debt or an undercurrent of stuff you don't want to deal with that you're bearing, it now comes up. You're also given the impetus to do it with that Mars on it, that motivation. And, you know, I'll just give a quick example. I'm at my dad's and my mother passed away. So we're going through Scorpio, death. So we're going through all her stuff, all her possessions, all her things. We're trying to evaluate what's worth anything. So we're really going down a rabbit hole, looking up online, trying to evaluate the prices of everything. And it's adventurous, but what's weird is you have the desire to do it. You can't, it's obsessive.
Yeah.
You know, so my dad and I are in this project. We're like, now we're just going down this rabbit hole. We're finding out so many things. So it's kind of like there's an obsessive energy to it. So there's a choice, like you say, whether I think some people, it is possible that they do follow through on a lower desire and they take a route, because Pluto, who's ruling this new moon, is in Capricorn. So we are going through some more little karmic clearing. But I would say on the whole, people are waking up to the patterns of addictions, the lower density choices, the fear-based, survival-based, which is the shadow aspect of Scorpio, which is, am I surviving? I'm not going to survive, so I'm grabbing at all the straws. Whatever experience elevates my sense of emptiness, that depth that takes me away from my darkness. And then you go to the higher aspect with that Uranian opposition, where you wake up, where you suddenly go, oh, that's been keeping me trapped and stuck. I've been in a cycle of pain through this self-destructive desire, seeking desire through a self-destructive means is only now getting to a point where I can't continue. So you get bottoms out. This is where you get the death and the rebirth. And then you find the solution, which is going to be spiritual, which is the light coming in on that darkness that we haven't been able to deal with. So these new moons are like solutions to these infestations, the disease, the darker, the plumbing, the darker recesses of our lives that are not, shall we say, pleasant, that you don't want to deal with, and suddenly you feel like dealing with. But it is also the occult. It's the unseen world. So, you know, this new moon really ranges from, it's basically new beginnings, but it ranges from needing to redo your plumbing in your house to, you know, starting creative projects around spiritualism or the unseen world or the occult or the horror or scary things. You know, like Halloween is during Scorpio season. It's horror. And, you know, so it's kind of like the period where we tackle the dark so that it doesn't impede us, and that we can actually become more balanced with it. So we're focusing on any sort of because it's a new moon, there's a new beginning as a result of having learned a lesson. So it's not like we're continuing in the disease, although some people may. And also there could be crises on a new moon, because in order, like for instance, if you have a really out of control addiction, this new moon brings a crisis on your bottom. And then the new moon is your beginning, healing the transformation process. So that is Scorpio, to go through a death and rebirth. And so now you're reborn. You're becoming reborn on a new moon in Scorpio. So, but again, it's where you are on your progress in your battle with the dark, as it were, in your own soul.
You know, the one thing that I kept hearing as you were sharing that was that when we're in this place, it's like it's the integration of the darkness that we all have.
Right.
No one is immune to this. And so it's recognizing, seeing it, understanding on some level. It may not even be a mental understanding. It may be an emotional or internal understanding as to why it's there, and allowing it space to be there. And in that process, being liberated from it, because it isn't as horrible as your mind made it out to be, or how you thought it was. It really is just, it's just an experience. It's something that has played a role, but doesn't have to anymore. And now you are free from it and able to move forward in a whole new way. I know during the last moon cycle, there was really during the eclipse season, there was a number of deaths that occurred on the physical level, and those who are left behind, how they are navigating rebirthing themselves in a different way due to the loss of someone in the physical. You know, I can't remember if your mom was a little bit before that. I think she was slightly before that.
Yeah, she passed in the eclipse window. I mean, it was a month before the Libra eclipse, but the Libra eclipse is over my fourth house, which is mother. So
yeah.
And she's Pisces. It happened right on my moon while Saturn and the moon was on my Chiron. She passed right there. It's really interesting.
So yeah, so it's like, you know, there's this, you know, like you were even saying, you and your dad are navigating what this looks like going forward. And I know a number of people are, and recognizing that
the eclipse season usually does bring passings away, you know, the end of people's lives. Basically, very significant things happen during eclipses, but also the month of November, or Scorpio season, tends to be the month of assassinations. It's when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, November 22nd. So the sun was going into Sagittarius, and he was shot by a Sagittarius is the arrow, long distance pointer, and then Scorpio is ass, the unseen area is assassination. I was just listening to someone's podcast about this the other night. I was listening to it. I thought, wow, this is kind of interesting. But so yeah.
Just one more point I wanted to make about this rebirthing period of time and having this new moon in Scorpio. I would just like to offer to folks a perspective that no matter what pain you're experiencing now, or no matter what death, whether it's figurative or literal in your life, is part of your journey. It's part of your experience. It's part of what you came here to experience in order to rebirth in some way. And it's likely in a way that helps other people, that is connected to other people, that has an impact on other people. I mean, the eighth house is other people's money. That could be through inheritance, that could be through a loan. And it's also, if you think of it in terms of how you might be supporting someone, maybe not financially, but perhaps energetically, because it's also, you know, what's unseen. There might be something that you don't see right now that will emerge from this time period that is part of that next step for you, part of that rebirthing process for you. And also, those who have left the physical plane aren't really gone. You actually have access to them still. And what I think is really cool, and I share this with the people in my circles, is that it's actually really such a blessing when we have family members or people close to us that are on the other side, if you will, because they have access to, in another way than we all have access to it, but they have access to it in a way that we can't, and then can support us, can guide us, can help us, can connect with us in a way that we would not be able to. And so it's as emotionally heartbreaking as it can be. It can also be a really beautiful gift if you choose to look at it that way. So yeah, just my 2 cents on.
Yeah, well, the occult, the eighth house is the ghosts. It's working with the unseen spirits. Like, people think occult sounds bad, but it's actually just the word for meaning, working with the energies, because like in churches and Christianity, they do Palo Santo, they do saging and stuff. They have like practices, and so basically what you're doing is you can't see your past ones. You can feel them, or you have psychic visions of them, but you can't see them. It's the unseen. So it's basically working with the unseen, you know. So
yeah,
they're there 100%. You're right. They're live. They're just not in the material 3D.
Yes, exactly. So hopefully that brings maybe a little bit of heart comfort for those who may have someone in their life that has transitioned.
5D.
Yeah. So Madelaine, shall we take a quick look at the chart, and then dive into, we'll, you know, kind of give us a brief overview of that, and then dive into the signs.
Yep. I will happily. So here we go. There is Uranus at exactly 21 degrees opposing the sun and the moon. This is every time I go and pop off this, it takes it back and up. Okay. So basically, there we are with everything in Scorpio. We got the sun, everything. I mean, the sun, the moon, and Mars hitting it. This is going to be a new moon at 20 degrees Scorpio. So you want to look on your chart, see if you have anything in the fixed energies around 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. You're going to feel this as a square. If you have water at that energy, at those angles, you're going to feel it as a trine. Which is more positive, but we've got Uranus opposing it. The sun and Mars are conjoining. Mars is in Cazimi, which means this is a 2-year Mars cycle initiating at this new moon ruled by the planet Mars and Pluto. There's Pluto at the end degrees of Capricorn moving direct. So things are moving forward because the ruler of this new moon is in a direct motion. Mars is also in direct motion. And so what we're doing is we're taking something forward. We have initiative, we have energy for it, we're motivated. We're like me and my dad, our project, we're into it, we're on it. There's movement. We're initiating a 2-year Mars cycle. This is a very much, you want to look for signs and omens, synchronicities that give you a good idea of what this 2-year cycle is going to look like and what house it is for each person. We'll talk about that when we go through all the 12 signs. For Scorpio, obviously it's in your first house. And but so there is, the moon is debilitated in Scorpio. Mars is happy in Scorpio. It is a wide trine to Neptune, but it's building. The trine to Neptune will be felt that day when the moon moves into a few hours after the new moon. You're going to get a trine to Neptune, which is very nice, which is very positive solutions. This is where we get into potential clarity or view, spiritual understanding. This is where I think if you have this impacting your chart, you're getting a more higher desire, spiritual desire, devotion. The higher in the light aspect of Scorpio is to be devoted, to be working for spirit, knowing they're there, knowing that there's a higher reason for it and struggling. And also it's a transformation where when you get out of that fear base, you have a transformation of your finances. You become more stable. In fact, one of the fixed star we can talk about the fixed star if you like, that it's on, talks about lasting happiness. Because if you operate from, you see what happens in Scorpio, you're either operating from a lower fear-based desire where you cause drama and crisis in your life and more karma, or you get off that karmic wheel with that Pluto. Well, Pluto is squaring, what's Pluto squaring? The nose, but it's kind of wide. The square has been going on all around, which is really tilting us to be out of our fears and go towards our dreams or what our higher desires, to not let our fears dictate the choices of our higher desires, because it's the fears and fear survival that put us in the lower desires, acting those out. So, it's up to us as a choice. But I think with that nice trine to Neptune, it is more spiritually waking us up with that Uranian opposition, waking us up to our higher choice, taking that path. And you know what? The higher choice isn't, the lower choice is instant gratification. The higher choice is further down the line gratification. But that's the point of the Scorpio energies. You don't have to see it to believe it. And that is the whole point of why Scorpio goes from fear-based survival to thrival. Like boom, it can be overnight when you become wealthy because you get out of that fear base and you step into the devotion base, which is, I know this is what spirit wants. I'm intuitive connected to this, to my, I've had messages. I know I'm on the right path. It has an intuitive support, spiritual support. It may not have visual support. You don't see, like a lot of people it's like a faith base. You have faith, no longer fear. Like a lot of people will tell you when you're on your scorpionic path, which means you're not on a fear, you're taking the risks. People will say, that is crazy. What do you think you're doing? Like some of the things I've done, people look at me and because they're not survival, they don't look like you'll survive, right? But because you have you've been sent spirit message, you've been guided. It's intuitive because it's deep waters. So if you clear out your deep waters, you clear out the poisonous depth in the unattended to darkness in you, then you can connect with your intuitive knowing that guides you to your devotional path. You have this connection to a truth. And that Scorpio is a truth, right? Truths will be coming out, by the way, as well in these movies. Truths come out. Like
Well,
what I'm going through with my mother, you know.
one thing I wanted to mention too, Madelaine, is that even though you're making faith-based choices, you still may feel fear. It's not like you're making this choice and you're like, oh, it's all great. It's I know I'll be okay, but I am still scared.
Yep.
Like I'm still, yeah. So just so people know,
Yeah.
it's like everything feels.
Yeah. All the people that said you're going to be, you know, starving to death, you're going to die doing this. I'm like, okay, but
Yeah.
now I'm in it, you know.
Well, and I think too, you know, as humans, we're wired for connection, and we're kind of, we have this the mindset of the masses in a way, you know. So especially if you're taking a totally different path, a path that's not societally quote unquote right or correct, you're doing something completely different, you're pioneering something new, it feels really scary, especially when you have people around you who you love and trust saying, you're nuts, this is crazy, right, it's never going to work. But there's some part of you that feels like they could be right, but I have to do it. And
it's blind because you don't see how you're going to survive. You don't see it. It's like you're walking a path you don't know. And then it's called walking the hero's journey in tarot. It's also the vision quest. And that's when you get off that. And a lot of like famous musicians have Scorpio North Node, have Scorpio MCs, because they struggle in poverty for a long time. And they're operating from lower desires as well, because they're escaping their lower self-esteem issues through lower desire things that pull you out of that feeling, which is just superficial because it comes back. And then they have this breakthrough. Usually you almost die. You feel like you're going to die. Usually like Laird Hamilton he has Pisces over his 8th house, and he has tons of planets in his 8th house. So he is here to learn, and Pisces is water. Here to learn to almost die. Every day he goes out, he says bye to his wife. He's like, this may be the time I never see you. This may be the day. And she's like, I know, I have no attachment. This may be the day. I love you. Bye. Bye. Right. Well, so it happens where he's at the bottom of the ocean in the dark, and he thinks, well, this is the day I die. And then for some reason, he pops back up and is basically, and then he's alive, and he comes back and he says, like, I'm alive. And everyone's like, you're alive. So it's like, so you go through this almost death. So when you go on that path, you're like, well, that's it. I failed. I'm dying. And then you discover, wow, something happened. Something came in and lifted me up, because that wasn't when God wanted me to die yet.
Right.
And so you're like, okay, well, every day I get another day until God takes it away, or universe, whatever you believe, takes that day away. And then you walk on this path of like, well, somehow I'm going to make it, because somehow I made it already. So you start to believe in it, and you start to go, well, I guess today is the day I die. And it's like, you know, when you keep going on that path. And so what you're doing is you're walking your path of your higher path, trusting that the universe sent you there for that path. And even though you can't see it, how you're going to survive if you do, because you're walking in that higher frequency of connecting with divine or your calling. And that's what we're here to do, is to go against the comfort. We're here to risk and seek that path, because that's where the transformation occurs in our soul. And that's where our abundance is. That's where the universe can actually really work with us. Because if you're in fear, you're not really open to flowing with the cosmos, you know. So this new moon is basically new beginnings, liberated beginnings. It could come through crisis, or very, you know, moon is debilitated. So there might be emotional upsets, potential crisis, maybe accidents. Maybe your plumbing comes crashing down and you have to put in new plumbing. But the point is that now you have a new, clear path to take that feels right, that's in alignment, that's liberating, that's uncomfortable though to take. Remember, it's fear-based. It doesn't feel 100% certain. But here's the other thing is that when you hit that bottom, there's a lot of like affairs. This is affairs, really. So a lot of women, when their spouse goes on an affair, you have this death experience. You feel like you're dying inside. It's just death, right? And so that's the Scorpio thing. So it's like, but you'll never have that pain again around that thing. It's been burned off of you. So there's this body burn potentially of pain, of lack of control, that we have in life. And then we're faced with a pain that we're always running away from. Are you still there, Amalia? Did you go? Anyway, are you still there, Amalia? Hello. You are currently screen sharing, but I don't see Amalia. Hello, Amalia. I guess I'll just take a time out here. Are you there, Amalia?
Yes, very
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay.
That was totally my internet.
Oh,
And I hope to have this resolved this week. I've been having major issues. So I just connected to my mobile hotspot. So I think we'll be good, hopefully.
all right.
So
Hey, wasn't
my
me.
apologies. My apologies.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so basically we'll go over all the 12 signs when you're ready, Amalia. But basically we're looking at realizing where we've been lower based, desired through either crisis or something happens, you hit a bottom, you haven't been dealing with it, you need to deal with it. It's in your, and but dealing with it liberates you, it cleans it out, freshens something up, a rebirth. Then what happens? You now have faith. Let's use the metaphor of the new plumbing. You now know your plumbing is going to last for another 30 years. You're very relaxed about it. So, so this is like coming in there, fixing something that's deep, that's poisonous, that's toxic, that's cleared out. So then we start a new beginning, and we're operating from the higher desire now, which is not holding us back out of safety. So we're initiating a new project, a new thing in whatever house we're going to look at here, where you have this sort of, well, what else am I going to do? I may as well do this. I'm alive. I'll be dead anyway. So why not? There's a risk involved. It's liberating. It's scary. It's a little bit intense. Scorpio's intense. It's nervous. It's moon uncomfortable there. Scorpio, emotional, complex. Like the situation with my dad and going through my mother's things. I mean, it is so complicated. It's crazy, but we're having fun with it because you do, like, this is digging down the rabbit hole energy. You want to do it. It's desire. It's higher desire. Hopefully, if it's lower desire, you'll crash and burn soon enough, and you'll be aligned to the higher desire. So, and I do think the Neptune influence is going to give higher mostly. This is people shifting because we've been in a lot of karma clearing with that Pluto in Capricorn. And as it comes out, I think this is all in alignment because Pluto's moving out. It's ruling this lunation. It's putting us into a more potentially higher abundance. This could be a very abundant lunation for everybody because we're purging lower density, lower fear-based energies that are blocking our abundance. So this is a very auspicious. This could be that. This is when I was reading about the fixed star, if I could only pronounce it. I can find it if I still have it. I think I lost it. But this fixed star is oh, here it is. It's called the star of Zubineshami. It's Zubenescamali. And it's hitting on this lunation. It's at 19 something degrees. It's 1923. Scorpio is an orb of 2 degrees. This is a 20-degree Scorpio lunation, and this is a very nice fixed star. It's a fixed star that is it is ruled by Jupiter. It's a Jupiter fixed star. Jupiter Mercury's positive properties, and it basically says favors civil, lawyers, scientists, And oh gosh, I gotta find the right thing. It's
Well,
illustrious.
Madeline, you're sharing like just the top part of the chart. So I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to stop screen share or
yeah, I'll just go back to the thing. So
yeah.
basically, the energy of that, I was trying to find the one paragraph where it says that it's long lasting abundance. It's a very positive fixed star for not so positive planetary alignment. So that indicates that this is a transformational to a faith, to seeing. Now, this faith isn't just blind faith. I mean, there will be energy supporting these new beginnings. It feels I don't think it's going to be hard to do. I think it's going to feel very flow, very energized, very inspired. It's Mars.
Yeah.
So do we want to go through the houses now?
Yeah. So let's jump into Aries and
All right.
keep our way through.
Okay, so we're going to go to Aries here.
And if you want to just if you want to stop,
I will. Yeah.
you want to stop sharing whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Just going to get to that Aries picture here. Aries. Okay. Aries is hitting Scorpio in your 8th house. So it is possible somebody passes. That would be a very direct, a simple interpretation. First interpretation, you could look at that. I guess transformations around your finances. There could be you could have a new beginning in some sort of investment. Scorpio is also investments. It's the stock market. So maybe things are good then. I'm hoping so. Maybe there is some sort of surprise in the stocks. Finances, I would think beneficial. So with the 8th house, you're looking at perhaps new beginnings in financial investments of some sort, investing in something, or you get an investment loan. And it is sextiling Pluto in your 10th house of career. So it's possible this really is a good financially upgrade in your big time. Actually, this could be very good for Aries with finances and money. Pluto in their 10th house. They let go of their fears. They're taking a risk. With all the planets in your 8th house, it's very favorable for taking risks in finances. And then they have Uranus in the 2nd house. Wow, this could be really good for Aries. They could be a sudden breakthrough in their finances, opening things up for them. Taking a risk really does bring them some sort of financial upgrade, a big, what do we call it? A skip step up. This could be very good. Now, these new moons are initiations. I don't know how soon the financial rewards kick in from these, but at 6 months is usually a good indicator. So that would be in the Scorpio full moon in Libra. No, wait, when would the Scorpio full moon be? Would be in Libra season. No, sorry, I have to do my math on that. But anyway, back to this. So
Taurus, the Taurus season. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
So it'll be in the spring.
Yes. Taurus season. Then that would be it. That would be next spring. Mm-hmm. So you'll see the fruition of that initiation. So you would probably find some sort of financial independence from that. So this is why it's important to initiate things on new moons. Because you then get a plant with fruit. You get bearings of blessings and things. So anyway, so new beginnings, initiations in something with finances, investing, also co-investing with your spouse, people that are, your marriage joint. This could be a new beginning where you join your resources with a spouse or a person of your romantic. It is a sexual energy as well. Could be a new beginning in a sexual relationship where you also join your finances. Hopefully it's a higher desire sexual relationship, but it could be the lower desire kind.
You may have a choice.
Yep. So that's Aries, pretty much simplified. Now, Uranus in your 2nd house, these are radical shifts and changes around your finances, hoping to liberate you. All right.
So
Yeah.
the card for Aries is the pink lotus. This is one of my favorite flowers in general. But what I love about this for Aries is and the message is to look within. So there's divine wisdom that's available to you if you look within. And I feel like this is so resonant with the scorpionic energy that we talked about before. And for Aries Aries is they're very self-focused anyway. So really just taking a second to go in their internal and also recognize that there is some darkness there. They don't always, I feel like the Aries I know, they don't always see that. They tend to see themselves through somewhat rose-colored glasses. So recognize there is some darkness there. See that there is some golden nugget of information in that for you, and then being able to use that to transform that. And that could be that step that you need for abundance creation and for transforming your career in some way. So the pink lotus for Aries.
Doesn't that look like busting out of fear? Like, because, the eighth house is definitely deep fears. So they're busting out of these deep fears about taking risks financially, I would think, or taking some kind of a risk.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your interpretation of the flower itself, Madelaine. That's really cool.
Yeah. I just kind of feel it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Like this, explosion. Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to look at Taurus. So you guys have Jupiter in your first house and Uranus in your first house. So Jupiter in your first house is definitely a powerful thing to be. It's a nice place to have Jupiter. It's a time of initiation, new beginnings, taking big steps forward, with your life. And with this new moon in your seventh house of partnership, contracts, there's a new partnership, a new contracted situation. Again, it's scorpionic, so it's going to be perhaps taboo. I forget to add the taboo element of it. It could involve death. It could involve ghost spirits. It could be slightly taboo, unseen. What else? It could be, in your seventh house, you could literally be initiating a new sexual relationship with someone if you're single. And then if you're married or in it, your relationship might get a nice big flare up in the bedroom department. You might suddenly have passion for each other. That is a passionate thing, the Saturn Mars there. That could be very much, you suddenly get into some sort of like radical sexual thing, black leather and things. You come in. Coming with a whip and
we're taking a turn, but
yeah.
I think that's valid actually, because, and I'll share a story in a second about that, but I think, kind of accessing that sort of, the taboo side, like that maybe,
it's been
I know the word I want to say, but it can be, the bots on YouTube can, will flag us if I say the word, but it's like the KINKY kind of vibe, where it's like when it's consensual and you're in this place of play, that could be a place of creation, a place of healing. I'm actually going to be doing a Let's Talk conversation with someone about that very subject as a place of healing, as a therapy in a way. So I love that you're bringing that up, and I have a Taurus moon, so it jives.
Could get very sassy for you.
Yes.
And then, it's the energy of abundance. See, what happens is, like, if you're doing tantric sex and you're lifting your vibrations with sex, and it's, in the higher relationship type thing rather than like an escapist self-destructive thing, what you're doing is it's a very high creative frequency. You can reach a really high manifesting ability through that. That's because it's Scorpio, it's the eighth house. So when you do it in faith and you're in that higher vibration version of it, it's a very powerful manifesting energy. There's a lot spoken about that. So yeah, so then something also very liberating with Uranus in your first house there opposing Mars, you burst out of your own, you stop holding yourself back, you burst out of your own self-imposed limitations about who you are, you let your freak flag fly, you come out, you feel, you don't worry about what people think of you, you break through. You're so this is a point where something breaks through, where you just become more authentic, you reveal yourself, you reveal a secret about yourself. That could happen with that. To your relationship, you suddenly tell your person that you do want to wear leather and high heels. I'm just kidding. But some kind of a truth comes out at your person, or your person says some kind of a shocking truth that changes your perspective. If you're in the right relationship, it'll improve your relationship. If you're in the wrong one, it might rumble it down. That way you are now free to find your true person, and so are they. So um there we go. Go ahead.
All right. So for Taurus, we have the jade succulent. I mean, even the word succulent, based on what we just said, is so fitting. It activates presence. The message is go for it. And so I read this as, yes, no matter how wild or wacky or crazy it might be, go for it. Just give it a whirl. It magnifies vitality, presence, and strength, and expansion of chi energy. I would also, and I'm not well versed in traditional Chinese medicine or understanding the different variations of energy. I mean, chi is life force energy. I don't know if there's another one that would refer specifically to sexual energy. I'm going to have to look that up, but I would interpret that as really accessing that creation energy that you have and utilizing that, whether in a tantric or sexual or sensual relationship with someone in order to co-create, or coming together in order to bring in enough energy for creation of something that is directly and divinely connected to you. So I feel like it could be utilized in a way.
And look at how that's the orange color of the orange chakra. I think Taurans are going to be heated up in the bedroom.
Yeah. So
looks like it with that orange chakra there. Yep. And that's great, because that feels safe. You feel, if you're in the right relationship, you feel safe to really explore higher sex, higher connection, in lovemaking, I guess. But it could be very exciting for you guys. So, all right. Now we're going to move on to Gemini.
Yep.
And Gemini has this in your 6th house, a new moon in your 6th house. And so this could be the revelation of a pattern, a blind spot around your health that isn't, that you're bearing, that you're not dealing with, that you're in denial around. And now you see that you have to make some new beginnings, and it's sourced in some sort of spiritualism. And it's a new routine. Something happens in your life, so it brings in a new routine. So somewhere else in your chart, you've got activity going on that's going to open up to a whole new routine, day-to-day routine. And or you could end up having an affair with an employee, the secretary, because
that's a twist.
Yeah. So a new beginning, that could be a new relationship there, but also it would be a, shall we say, a healing, a purging, a new clearing of unhealthy patterns that now make you have to start a new routine, you have to quit. You could quit something. There could be a bottom. If you're a Gemini and you have an addiction of some sort, you could reach a bottom, and now you have to quit. You have to make some kind of a choice around it. But again, you also then are initiating new routines, new work, new busyness. You could be very busy. My father's Gemini, and we're very, very busy right now. This is a new mood for him. So, and it's making us very busy. It's crazy. You'd be surprised how busy this can make you. So, yeah, very busy. Frustrations there with Mars, like, but at the same time, a willingness to break through the frustration, that that kind of energy. So new beginnings for Gemini. And again, Uranus is in your 12th house, which is sort of discovering a blind spot, discovering a repeat pattern and finding the source of that and busting through it, that fear, it's deep fear that this new moon gives you the courage to bust through. So for instance, let's say it's an addiction to something. It can be, doesn't have to be a drug or alcohol. It could be, you know, doodling, a nervousness, being stressed all the time. So now you realize you've got to find a spiritual, you've got to start harnessing the stress that you're just doing because you have an automatic reaction to something. And so you're just stressing, and you realize you need to take a spiritual practice or approach. You need to go to the country. You need to spend more time grounding or something. So there's a connection here for Gemini where they make a rebirth. And they also become obsessive about it because it really works. That's the thing about these new moons in Scorpio. They're rebirths, and that's something that really changes on it's a total rebirth in that area. Go ahead.
We've got another succulent.
Oh.
This one is the chandelier succulent, and it activates momentum, and the message is finish what you start. So I feel like this so connects with what you were talking about with your dad and you, Madelaine. You know, you're in it, and now it's like you're there. You are there for a finite period of time. You need to get it done. The other message that was coming in so clearly was around Geminis who have had health issues, that they've started down a path of healing and then they stopped, or maybe they had a new exercise routine and they started to do it and they were sort of good at it, and then they didn't finish the program or whatever that might be. So now is the time for them to really dedicate and devote themselves to finishing that program, finishing that, that diet, finishing that, whatever it is for them that relates to their health and or their day to day.
Interesting, because Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. Mars is a metal, it's iron, it's red. So Scorpio is like black and red. And so that is like very much the lower chakra, survival. And so it's kind of like, that heart issues or blood or deep stuff in the health, iron, not enough iron, all of that. But anyway, I just thought that redness was just coming out so strong. That's so
jumping out at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So chandelier succulent. And as a reminder for folks too, I'm sharing these flower cards. They're in flower essences that you can purchase either in elixir form and spray. There's also serums you can rub on different pulse points, but then you can also just take a screenshot of the flower or just take a mental image in your mind and just ask for that particular flower to give you support. Imagine yourself laying on a bed of those flowers, imagining having a crown of them. I mean, just play with it. There's so many different ways that you can harness the energy of the flowers in order to support you on this during this moon cycle. Okay. Cancer, Madelaine, what do you got for us?
Yep. So Cancer is, you guys have this Scorpio in your 5th house, which is actually kind of nice because I've been watching I'm Cancer rising. So I've been watching all these Scorpio stuff for me, and they're actually not so bad for Cancer because the 5th house tends to soften the intensity of that. It's a fun house. Like, it's funny because as I'm going through this, my dad's a little bit stressed, like he's 6th house. And for me, I'm laughing my head off because I just think it's hysterically funny, some of the stuff that we're going through. I'm just cracking up because my dad is just so unfamiliar with working with, we're going online, we're posting pictures. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so for Cancers, we're really looking at a new initiation, creative projects, a new relationship. It can be a fling because it's in the 5th house, or it could be a friendship turns into a relationship, more serious. Scorpio, again, we're going in higher frequency relationships with that trine to Neptune, or is it sextile? Can never remember that. Where are you?
I think you said trine. You said it was a wide trine.
Yes, a wide trine. So it's a trine. So yeah, so we're really looking at more of a higher frequency relationship. I would think that it could be quite permanent. It would be a good one. to have on this. I mean, maybe not for some people, but I would say there's a good potential for it to be Cancers coming into their higher divine type relationships. Neptune is divine love. And then Pluto being in their seventh house, moving out is really an indication that they've done the work. Cancers are very ready now. So I would say most Cancers are going to find relationships. A friend turns into one, a relationship. And then they've got the 11th house, Uranus there. So some sort of opportunity opens up, or winning, or some kind of recognition occurs through this Aquarian there that involves this project. It could be a social media project that you take on with a friend, or a creative project that you do on social media with a friend, or a benefic comes in and gives you an opportunity for a creative project. You could get pregnant, 100%. Absolutely. This would be a big time pregnancy transit. If you're pregnant, this could be when you give birth. You could, shall we say, get in a relationship with someone who has a child, and then you suddenly become a parent, you have a child. Let me look, see what else can we look at here for Cancer. You've got Saturn in your 9th house. So Saturn is squaring, but it's the moon moves into a square with Saturn right after on that day. So it's possible there's a seriousness around this as well. There's a seriousness in this relationship. There's a seriousness. There's a willingness to commit to it, because Uranus is in Taurus. So these are committing energies, even though it's in retrograde. So there may be something from the past that comes up that, like you were talking about for Gemini, an issue that was from the past comes back. That could be the case because we've got Jupiter in retrograde in Taurus and Uranus in retrograde. So, what else can I say for Cancer? It's great. It's fun, joy. I'm actually having a really good time. So go ahead.
Yay. Okay. Euphrasia is the flower for Cancer. And I actually I think this is such a sweet looking flower, yet there is a little bit of, it's sweet, yet direct in a way. That's kind of what it looks like. And this activates your intuition, and the messages be decisive. So I would say for Cancerians, where in your life have you maybe been putting off making a decision, where it's a reminder to trust yourself, to lean into your intuition. And then this is the time to make that choice. Now's the time to decide and take the steps forward to, leap into this relationship, or take the risk on social media, or whatever it may be for you. But, yeah, it definitely feels like a very supportive, energetic for Cancer.
And guess what?
What? I can't wait to
hear. Color yellow, which is the color of the sun, which is the 5th house of Leo. So it's literally the color of the 5th house. The sun, Leo.
So it's right there. Yeah, so it's right there, just saying hello.
And what I love is that it's multiple flowers. So you're working with a group, you're working with multiple people, and you're bringing the light in on some kind of a creative project that inspires.
Yeah.
I'm a visually and mostly visual person.
Well, that's great. I mean, I feel like people are going to be able to connect with this flower in a way that resonates with them, regardless if they understand it or if they feel it, or, whatever you and I share could spark something within them, because whatever you as the viewer are feeling, whatever messages or images or thoughts come to you, is so important to pay attention to, because that's going to give you the perfect information that you need in order for you to take the energy forward and utilize it to support you.
Yes. And if you're single or in a relationship, or a friend shows up with a little bunch of flowers for you, doesn't that look like somebody's handing you a bunch of stuff?
It really does. Yeah. Like the kind, like from like when you were in elementary school or something, and somebody came with like a handful of weeds, but they were flowers that like, here.
And he picked them from your front yard,
Yeah.
Kind of romantic.
So it is. It's very sweet.
All right. Okay. So now we're going to go to Leo. So I'm thinking for you guys, that's going to put Scorpio in your 4th. So that is new beginning, living, moving situation, or it could be a crisis with your plumbing. It's water energy, deep plumbing, or deep issues that are in your family, or deep emotional issues that are rocky, that are upsetting your family, that have been buried. Scorpio is like the unseen secrets. So it's like you suddenly discover that someone in your family is the complete opposite political, and you suddenly find out it's like shock. They're voting for the other person. You know, something where there's an emotional sort of challenge to the family that then creates a new, you could move, you could have a new living situation. But I would say, because of the positivity ultimately around this, to me, even though I don't think it feels that way for everybody at first, because of Moon Scorpio is complex emotions. It's not easy to navigate those kinds of situations. It's challenging. It goes, logic doesn't work somehow. Or you have to dig deep and find the real logic, the true logic. So then we've got this in your fourth house. So issues, problems showing up around family, mother, come up, but then there's a new resolve, a new beginning, a surprising. The other thing about Uranus is it's shake up, it's uncomfortable. And with that Scorpio, it's uncomfortable information, stuff that's uncomfortable, it's upsetting, it's awkward. You don't want to talk about it. You keep pushing it away, but you have to face it now. And so now you face this issue in your family and it opens it up and it's okay. We've got the dark, the repressive energy out. And so that could be so, and also new living situation for Leo. Remember the Uranus is in their 10th house. So, and Jupiter is there. So career upgrade, career shifts and changes. Suddenly Uranus changes your work all of a sudden. With Uranus in your 10th house, that could happen at any time, at any kind of lunation. So something shifts about your work, liberating, and it's somewhat more revelatory. There's a truth involved in it, a deeper truth that's bringing up transformation. Again, this is a transformation. You change. You don't feel this way anymore. It's changed. The awkwardness around something, the upset, the hidden, the underneath becomes open. Now you change. It's out. You talk about it, and then you can move forward and expand, and it can really solve a problem that's been in your family for a long time, and now it's cleared. And then also a new living, you know, to be really just completely simple, which you find in astrology, it happens sometimes. It's just that simple. You literally move into a new place, but it could be around water, and it could be someplace you normally wouldn't be and you would have been afraid to, but now you have faith. You feel like, no, I can move there. So I think that covers it. Pluto's in your 6th house. So you know, fears around frustrations, and how I would say for Leo with Pluto in the 6th house, they've been learning how to not be so stressed and afraid, and they're really like trying to like trust more and flow and stuff like that, because that's anxiety and stress, that 6th house, Pluto there. So it's a karmic pattern that Leo go into where they just stress out. My son is, so there's a new beginning for Leo that grounds you, a new living situation that brings long time pleasure, hope. In other words, and it could be a risk. You could upgrade, you could go from a rent from $1,500 to $2,500 and you're freaked out, but if this opportunity shows up and it feels right, go for it. Because I think that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a correlation with that 10th house, with that Uranian there, and Jupiter there, that you're going to be able to afford it because you're expanding in your 10th house. So, yeah.
All right. So the cards are really interesting. And I feel like it was because of me, because I have Leo, a Leo sun, and I was feeling into everything that you were saying, which was kind of muddying the water. So I just was like, whoosh, just kept clearing. But this one card I kept looking down right as that card would show up. And so I felt like that was it. And then another card went flying out. So there's technically 2 cards for this Leo, and one of them feels, well, this one was the one that kept showing up. And when I pulled it out of the deck, you were literally talking about this, about relaxing. like,
Yeah, interesting.
being stressed out. And so dandelion reminds us to relax. This also reminds me so much of what we were talking about before with euphrasia, with like, I remember dandelions being a huge thing when I was a kid, like going and picking dandelions and sharing it with friends, and buttercups and, other flowers like that. But the dandelion in particular was just everywhere in the area where I grew up. And so this feels almost like this joyful, playful, childlike wonder energy too for Leo, coming back into that. And then bee balm was the other card. And what I find interesting is that it looks kind of like this one. It looks kind of like this one. Like there seems to be a little bit of a connection between the vibes of these flowers. Like there's a thread that's connecting all of them. This activates hope, and the message is be still. So again, kind of like that frenetic energy, that stressed out feeling that Leos may have, just breathe, come back into your heart space, connect to your belly, be very, very present with your body. Maybe sit out in the sunshine near a body of water. I know it's cold in a lot of places now, but you can still sit in the sun in the middle of the day and be in proximity to water, and really just allow whatever feelings to come up, whatever memories to surface, and just being with whatever that is, because there might be that little nugget that you get that helps you move through whatever it is that's feels like it's holding you back or stressing you out. So bee balm and
well, yeah. Well, what's interesting is I found the paragraph I was looking for.
Okay.
And I can show it, or I'll just read it, but it says,
you want to show it? Because it might be good for people to see
it.
Because
it's interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because it represents Jupiter, and Jupiter is the purple color. So
we can't see the whole page, Madelaine.
I know, I'm moving it. I had to wait.
Okay.
So it goes let me get to the start of the paragraph. It goes, it's symbolically called the full price according to Ptolemy, and it is the nature of Jupiter, which is purple, and Mercury, but later writers have considered it similar to Jupiter and Mars, and Alvidas likens it to Mars in sextile to Jupiter. It gives good fortune, high ambitious, beneficence, honor, riches, and permanent happiness. So both interpretations of this fixed star involve Jupiter, either Jupiter with Mercury or Jupiter with Mars, which is interesting because those cards you picked up are Jupiter, purple. And it's funny that you picked two of the cards, because there's two planets, and Mercury, I'm not sure if Mercury is yellow or orange, but it is definitely Leo in there. And so anyway, I just made that connection.
Yeah, that is really cool. And the thing is I wasn't sure if dandelion was geared specifically to me, or if it was something for someone else. And I feel like it's always whether it's for me or not, it's always for others as well. So that's why I wanted to share both cards, but also share the connection I felt to the dandelion personally, because that might spark something for someone else. So,
well, the other thing is that with Jupiter in the picture and that purple color coming up to me, it really tells us that this is expansive, beneficial, expansive situation in property, living situation. Something gets better, it's expanding, it's better, which is great.
Well, and it's interesting too, because I've as this ongoing saga of living arrangement for me.
That's what I was kind of thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a situation where I don't need to make any moves for about a year and a half.
Right.
But that feeling of home, that feeling of planting roots, that feeling of having a place that's very representative of me has been hanging around recently, and it's resurfaced. And so I find it interesting that this is an energy that's coming back around.
Yep. And there's a destiny here at play 1111 where I am right now. But anyway, there's a destiny at play here for your fourth house. So these lunations are either blocking you or moving you forward, with the newness of all of that. But it's interesting because you've had so many eclipses in that fourth house. You know, something's got to. This, by the way, is the results of those eclipses. That's another thing to say. So, you know,
so for folks who might be in a similar position to me, this could this also relate to, okay, you know what, your home living situation, like your actual physical space may not change, but you might change something within it, energetically shifting something. Although that doesn't feel resonant for me, but could that
start
potentially
living with somebody? You could start working at home, but usually eclipses in the fourth house are definitely shifts and changes, major changes, buying properties, selling properties, you know. So anyway, this new moon, I would think, is a beneficial result coming in, clarity brought to you from the series of eclipses that all Scorpio that we've been in the fixed signs for the last 18 months. So it's kind of like the positive new beginning of the clarity developed from going through all those unsettling eclipses rattling around. So
well, that makes sense, because where I was 18 months ago is in terms of what I had my eye set on. Like, this is the type of home that I would like, has shifted. You know, there's still a lot of the same, but it's refined quite a bit more. A number of items on my list I've taken off. It's just, I don't feel like some of the things that were the required items are just not important to me anymore. Things have changed. So it is
good cards for you.
Say it again.
I was just pulling some cards on it for you out of curiosity.
Oh yeah, what was showing up?
Well, I got the Tower card, I'll be honest.
Oh God. Okay.
But then I get the financial independence. Something is happening here where you're going to get a nice boost. I saw that twice.
What card hit the ground?
Well, this is what's happening. Okay, so this is a card I keep in because it's a little secret card. So this would possibly involve your mate, your person, and then I get financial independence, Queen of Pentacles. If I get it in the third spot, the way I do my grid is that's divine wants you to know you'll be something financially is taking off for you, independent.
I love that.
The Tower, so it means it's a surprise. There's that Uranian thing in your first house, a sudden change in the way something happens, a big change in how something changes in your way that you earn your money that makes you more not that you, well, you could completely change. Who knows with that Tower card? And that's the thing about Uranus, which I really need to add, is that it is a wild card. You know, it is hard to predict the Uranian transits. But if I get the Tower card, there's some kind of a big change coming.
Yeah, yeah, I was going to say, I like when I first heard it, I mean, most of the time the initial reaction was the Tower is like, oh gosh.
I know.
But I feel like it might be just like it's that last little gasp of whatever it was. I feel like a lot has been occurring. And then I love that Misha is part of that equation too, with him.
This is a breakthrough new moon because of the Uranian factor. This is people are breaking through their limiting fears, taking risks, going for it. Like you say, dude, that came up earlier.
Yeah.
For Cancer, exactly. I think it was. Yeah. All right. So
all right,
Virgo, you guys have it in your third house. So you have Scorpio in your third house, which means a new business, a new neighbor. Sometimes you have a new moon in the third house. It's like you have a new situation occurs where you have new neighbors, or you move, or you have a new relationship, or a new job. So you have new people around you on a day-to-day that are like, or something happens new with a sibling. There might be an intense conflict with a sibling that you've been going through on these eclipses that now, and it's also like website, it's like Mercury, so it's paperwork, it's signing papers, it's a new beginning in a business, a small business, where you start a website that you've been too afraid to start because remember, we're facing a fear, or you face a fear with a sibling and you stand up for them and you because Mars is conflicting and you get into a conflict, but it resolves it. You say something you've been too afraid to say and you say it. You know, that's the third house, Scorpio. It's like that, the Mars, you get the confidence to say something, or you get into a fight with a sibling. You don't, you face the issue. It's undercurrent. It's been going on. And then there's a new beginning because there's going to be a breakthrough from that. So there's a new beginning around that. You start to have a new level of communication with this person. You could literally start a new business with people around you, or a new blog or a website. I already said that. That you've been afraid. Remember, this is, and it's a truth is coming out. So maybe truths are coming out from people around you. And then you now make a new decision based on that. You start something new, you discover something. Scorpio is discovery, it's the detective. You discover something that changes your mind. And then you move and you have different people around you. You discover something about the people around you, that they have a belief system that you don't like. So you have new people around you. Go ahead.
Curious where Uranus is for Virgo.
Ninth house. So they're getting new belief, they're opening, they're rattling, they're going through radical in the last year, or since Uranus has been in their ninth house, they're opening up their minds, they're surprised, they're shocked, they're learning things. But again, it liberates them to be more independent thinkers on some level, or they're going through spiritual awakening.
Okay, so two cards came out for Virgo, and I was attempting to make sense of the messaging, and that's why I was curious about Uranus, because date palm flower was one of them, and it activates the freedom from extremes, and the message is shift the paradigm. So it is being able to see the two sides and then make a different choice, perhaps, with how you think. I mean, Virgos are very practical and pragmatic, so there might be a situation where they need to slightly shift how they engage with that energetically, or engage within those relationships. And then we have the nectarine blossom, which activates sweetness, and the message is you're among friends. Now, this, to me, as I was listening to you sharing the energetic for Virgo and then tuning into the energy of this card, it's almost like the Virgos within the groups are the sweetness. Like, it's not necessarily like the other people are the sweetness. They are the sweetness. And just as long as they're staying true to themselves, it doesn't really matter what the others around them are doing. But that may be what shifts the paradigm of how they think and how they engage and how what they believe. So on the surface, I didn't feel like these two really went together, but the more you were sharing, the more sense it was beginning to make for Virgos.
Right. So it's almost like they're because that pink flower is so sort of fresh. It's like they're really like it's inspired, because the ninth house is inspiring. So it's like there's a fresh start somewhere around what they believe, you know. And communication, they could also start to communicate to people. That's the yellow card is like a relationship. They're starting to be honest in their relationships, maybe communicating.
Well, also this green here, it almost is like leaning, to me, it's like it connects the two together. You know, we have all this pink, but then there's this green kind of running through the center. And then we have this, it's also rather tall and long, and they, I don't know, they kind of, it's like they blend into each other in a.
And I like how the pink one is a new shoot. It's like a new growth. That's like a new moon, like a new shoot of growth around something, you know.
Yeah. So
and that's 3 flowers on it, and that's the third house. That pink one has 3 flowers.
I mean, we can go.
I can go on and on. I know.
Yeah.
We're reading the symbols of the universe. Yes. All right. So
fun. Okay. So then Libra.
Libra, you guys have this in your second house. So it's I would say it's like a new way of earning money, a new project that you normally wouldn't do. It's scary. It's taboo. Or you start investing in the stock market, and you maybe take risks on that, and you decide intuitively to go for putting money in something and investing in something, but it's in your second house. So it's changing your income. Something new is coming in, a new income, a new financial money coming in, which I like for anybody. But so a new moon in the second house. And again, it might be uncomfortable. Remember, there's some sort of upset, potentially emotional upset around it. Like I just have one client, she's Libra. She just got like a big tax bill. It freaked her out. But then she's also getting a new job at the same time. And then she's figuring out that the tax bill was wrong. She submitted her papers and it's all working out. And so you might get triggered because it's Uranus in the 8th house, freaking you out about money or finances. So you start a new thing that you're afraid to do, but you're going to go for it because you think it might work and you intuitively feel it and you get signs, or it's just you in other words, you could just be down and out on your finances. So it doesn't matter anyway. You may as well try doing something really great, or you're stable doing something and it's just not that interesting and you want to shake up your life and you want to do something more interesting. So you're going to go for it. You're going to take a risk. You're going to start a project that could potentially make you new money. But if it's starting now on a new moon, there's a good chance, because usually I started a work relationship with someone on a new moon in my 7th house, and it's a very strong work relationship. It lasts. This is a long-lasting, stabilizing way of making money, but it feels scary and it feels like a risk. And it is a faith-based decision, or you are fear-based and you do a crime, or you find a new crime to do to make you money, because that's Scorpio over the 2nd house. You might decide to do something shady. That's if you're in fear-based. I'm just trying to look at the perspective. So I would recommend you go for more a faith-based way of making money.
Yes.
And trust this, whatever shows up now, if it's in faith and you think that there's a devotional element to it, like you're doing it because it's deep and it's interesting and you're devoted to it. Like for instance, think about the detective in all the movies, and he's hired to do a murder case, and then he finds out that there's corrupt people involved, and then they all fire him. They don't want him on the job anymore, but he keeps going because he's onto something. He's not getting paid anymore, and he keeps going. It's that kind of Scorpio thing where you just are devoted to it. You've got to find it. You've got to get to the bottom of it. So maybe there's something like that where you make money that way now, and it's like it's now a devotional thing. It's the truth. You need to do this. So anyway, go ahead.
Wow, that was like intense, Madelaine. Yeah. I was like, I felt that. Okay. So for Libra, the giant spider lily. And the giant spider lily activates lightness, and the message is free your mind. And what I loved about this was you were talking about how, to let go of those fear-based thoughts that might stop you from doing something that's going to be helpful to your financial world, or to take a risk when it comes to that. The other aspect of this is it brings in some fresh energy to some place that might be stagnant. So perhaps for Librans, there's a project that they were working on, and they kind of lost, similar to what we were talking about earlier with the chandelier succulent, like you've lost the momentum, but I think it was the chandelier succulent, but it's a time for you to get back into that excitement and get out of your head, really get out of your head, feel the emotions around it, and really access the passion perhaps for a project that you would like to take to the next level, and that could bring you some financial abundance. So giant spider lily.
Yeah, and I have to say, with that, so Libra is air energy, and it soars, and that's white, usually indicated by light. So it's like very mentally open-minded, like breaking through the mind, like opening up the mind to something that's been, it's an opening up of the mind energy and expressing something. It could be writing projects. Libras are good writers. So you could decide to start a writing project. And the 2nd house is also talents in the arts. So you start a creative project again, a writing creative project could very well be the case. And it's a truth. There's a truth to it. You want to reveal the truth, and you're motivated to bring something to light in the world.
Lots of good stuff, Libra.
Yep. All right. So let's go
Scorpio.
for Sag. Oh, yep.
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Oh my.
Hello, I've been waiting for this one the whole time. Let's go.
Well, you know, this is going to be big, of course, for Scorpios. Intense, of course, for
Okay.
you guys. You're intense people anyway, so it's fine. Why not? You're there anyway. So again, some kind of a truth comes out about you, a belief, a more authentic version of you is revealed. Now it puts Uranus in your seventh house, right? Or yeah, it puts Uranus in your seventh house. So something surprising can also be changing in the life of your spouse, or if you're in the wrong relationship, it could end. You've got Jupiter there, so something is expanding, involving your relationship. So it's a joint project involving relationship. And then again, this is motivation, an opportunity could show up, or you take the impetus to create an opportunity to go forward. And it involves a contracted partnership, or just your spouse, or a contracted partnership, a project. And also this is something that's busting out of your, again, your bust. This is the result of these eclipses that you've been in, this hell. Most Scorpio have been through real upheavals with those eclipses in their first house, often. So it's almost like you can't take it anymore. So it's like you make the transformation. There's something about these eclipses that's been transforming you, about relationships, about you being authentically you in relationships, not giving your power or attention or trying to fit in a relationship. That's what these eclipses have been doing for Scorpio. But now there's some sort of, you're motivated, you're starting a new cycle with that Mars. It's a whole 2-year cycle where you're motivated and driven for some sort of devotional project that feels there's passion behind it. It's intense. And you could definitely change a career or change work or change, you could get very athletic and work out too, by the way. That's a big energy for you. So I don't know where I lost my my chart. It seems to have disappeared for some reason. Oh, there it is. There it is. So for Scorpio, now Pluto has been in your third house, so it's leaving your third house. So there's almost like a relief of like you've discovered how to be honest and speak your truth. And so now you've learned a lesson, so you're able to really tackle on more challenging projects here because you've got that Mars on your ascendant. So you've got the courage. They're gonna, this is good for, I mean, other than that, it could be intense and emotionally challenging, but you're really having a breakthrough and you're really stepping forward into your power, much more into your power that these eclipses have wanted you to do. So I like it for you guys, other than the initial part of it may be awkward and uncomfortable because the moon is there, which is emotionally complex, not easy to navigate waters.
So interesting, all of what you're saying as a Scorpio ascendant. The emotion part too. I was doing some emotion code work this morning, and one of them came through, and it was basically, for those who are familiar with it, you know, you have these 2 columns and you can choose, with the 2 columns are 6 choices. And so you kind of go through, and then of the 6 choices, there's usually like, I think 4 or so emotions that you can hone in on. And I think there were 4 or 5 within this one particular section. And I tested yes for these trapped emotions 4 out of the 5. And I was like, wow, okay, so this is clearly a big place of inquiry and discovery. So it felt, you know, you can feel that intensity that you are ready to understand and access. You know, it's stuff that I've been noticing, but just kind of letting it go, and now ready to really dive into it. And it's fun things like abandonment and betrayal and feeling forlorn and lost. You know, it's like, oh, those are fun to dive into, but doing that opens you up to all the possibilities and potentials, and also taking a chance and doing those things that scare you. So we have the papaya flower, which again also looks a little bit like Euphrasia from Cancer. This activates receptivity, and the message is gentle is powerful. So you're talking,
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about that
Mhm.
that energy, but Scorpio is recognizing they don't have to be aggressive. You know, they're
Yes.
it's ruled by Mars. They're ruled by
Mhm.
Mars. So
Mhm.
there you can be gentle.
Yeah, because Scorpio are fearless as well. Like Mars, Aries and Scorpio, they don't mind war, they don't mind fighting, they don't mind being mean. They're kind of can be relentless, they can be scathing, they can be the Scorpio word, like um keeping score. There's that aspect of Scorpio. So it's interesting you brought that up because they could be lashing out, they could get overconfident, they could get too boisterous, too much. So it's an interesting card that's sort of a medicine for that. That's sort of like just chill. Like don't let this, because in these energies, once you get fired up or angry, it can build these deep waters. They get so emotional. The water's going. So it's like you want to stop it at the beginning, like calm it back. So I think that's a good card to pull.
Yeah. Well, and the other piece of this too is about collaboration
Mm-hmm.
and and compatibility within relationships. So I would say for anyone in this situation, you've got the collaborative aspect of working with other people, in my case, or being in relationship with other people. You mentioned Uranus and Jupiter in the seventh house, so there's going to be some relationship aspects. So being aware of that and knowing that you can come to the relationship and have conversations or have communications or go into the emotionally deep waters with a gentleness versus that fired up energy. I
Yes.
just highlight that when it comes to relationships too, specifically
Right.
with Scorpio.
Yes. Um, yes, because the truths may come out and they may lose their top, or so they're going to have to learn how to be, it's a transformational new moon. So there's going to be a
Mhm.
transformation around it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it may not be easy, but it will be better.
Yes. I feel that for everyone,
Yeah,
that it's that it will be better.
I
Just may
agree.
not feel like it at first.
Yeah.
Okay. Sag.
Sagittarius, so you guys have this in your 12th house, which is probably not the best place to be having a Scorpio new moon. So I would say there's a blind spot coming forward to you, to your awareness, um, that makes you have to take action. I'm Sagittarius sun. Probably have to pay taxes on my property.
Mm.
So I'm afraid a little bit of that. But um, a new start though. My son is Sagittarius. He's beginning new projects with festivals, music festivals. That's very 12th house. It's basically initiating new, something initiates new that could also be travel, long distance travel, but it's out rural. It could be if you could have a new job in a institution somewhere. Um, but again, this is intense, um, uncomfortable, but I would say it's a breakthrough. So it's like resolves it, solves it. There's a blind spot you deal with, new beginnings. So it's like that thing where because the 12th house can be past life stuff, it's karma, it's fears, deeper. It's kind of Neptunian. So it's like foggy, it's ruled by Neptune. So it's kind of like clarity comes in that you have to take action around, and it's involving potentially also travel, new beginning and travel, new project and traveling, which I really am about to do. So that's actually interesting. Um, but and then we've got Uranus in your 6th house and Jupiter there, which is restructuring your day-to-day routines. So this new moon is going to bring a new thing, potentially travel, that you then change your routine. You have to change. Like if I go to Italy, I'll have to work late at night or something. I have to work it all out. So we're looking at changes in 12th house matters, new beginnings, and it's also very much a karmic clearing. So there's some sort of deep fear now that gets eliminated. And it's funny because I just did a reading on someone who is going through a big trigger fear. And then we got to the bottom of it, and it's so nothing to be afraid of. It's like, oh my gosh, so silly. It's all okay. and now you have the guts to travel or to go somewhere, because Scorpio is usually financial. So these are fears of survival. You're like, oh, I'm going to survive. Okay, I can travel, or I can do something, or I can initiate a new thing in the country, or initiate a project, or move to the country, or something that you perceived as being trapped is not true. You now are untrapped, and you can take new initiatives. But I do think for some, it could literally be like my son, it could be a new relationship. Scorpio is always relationship with somebody in a foreign country. You could go to the country and have a connection with a new person, and a new relationship initiates, and you have a physical relationship with them in the country. Trying to be creative. Go ahead.
All right. So we got 2 cards again for Sag.
Right.
Okay. So let me start with this one first. This is Wild Hawkweed. Activates wholeness, and the message is fall in love with yourself. And I love this for 12th house. It's, being able to see yourself as this whole divine being, and to be completely in love with who you actually truly are, not who you have seen yourself to be through the lens of karmic experience and what have you. And then we also have the Chocolate Daisy, which is activates simplicity. What I love about this in terms of what's going, for Sag, is that, you think about Sag having this arrow that's like very pointed and very focused. And this reminds me of that as well. It's very pointed. It's very focused.
Yeah, there's a dart, a center, like a dartboard. Sagittarius are very good at darts and arrow. I'm really good at darts. So yeah, interesting, because they're always looking for a focus. There's always a long-term plan here. Go ahead.
Yeah. But really just simplifying, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be some, wild, crazy thing. Just like really be hyper-focused and keep it simple. And then remember that you're whole, you're complete yourself. And even with these 2 cards, we've got the dark here in the center of this as well. So they're got the orange, the red, the yellows.
So there you go. There's that Mars energy, Scorpio energy in red, which is fear-based of survival. And there's a fear of survival coming up. Boom, breaks through. Now you have a new future. Your survival is now shifted to the Sagittarian, which is the forward destiny, looking to the long term and breaking free, seeing something's possible.
Yeah, it is. It's all possible.
Yeah, it's fun. I love the flower cards. All right, Capricorn, you guys have it in your 11th house. Wow, that's great. That's really great. So the 11th house is kind of like the opposite of the 5th house, which is the other really kind of wonderful house to have a new moon in. So you meet new tribe, new people, new groups of people that liberate you financially, that enable you to sort of take more risks, more creative projects. You're going to have Uranus in your 5th house, Taurus over your 5th, and Jupiter there. So some kind of a benefactor comes in that supports a creative project. So you meet somebody, let's say you're working in a musician band, you've been working. I always think of my ex-husband who's Capricorn, and he's always done film music, but he's always wanted to work more with musicians, and that's what's happening, like artistic, creative music. And so now you meet somebody in the 11th house that can support, financially support, or takes the benefactor, invests in it, or you suddenly meet new people that enable you to create a new project. You get a new client, enables you to a new creative project, this expansion. Again, this is not survival based. This is where you've always wanted. It's kind of a dream come true new moon and it's probably awkward, emotionally unstable. You might be nervous about these people. You might not feel like you're qualified enough. It might be imposter syndrome a little bit for Capricorn. But you deserve it. These eclipses have prepared you for this. There's a certain amount of confidence. Scorpio is a very confident energy. They're very confident. So this is, everyone's feeling confident about this. And Mars there gives you energy to do it, inspired, go, you meet new people, there's a party, it's celebration, it's great. I mean, I like this very much in the 11th house. But again, there could be awkwardness. There's a breakthrough in the sense that it might be not your normal group of people that you hang out with, but there's some kind of a breakthrough in the fit. Let me just get a minute. Maybe a project you've been working on now breaks through, happens, it gets signed, it gets funded. Now let's see what comes out for you.
We have the hollyhock. And the activation and the message for this card, I will read it in just a second, but what really jumped out at me about this card is it talks about enhancing your confidence, which is what you were just talking about. It also asks if you're in a challenging situation or relationship, this is the time to really look at that and know that this flower is going to help you navigate whatever is coming up. So we're talking about 11th house, friends groups, different people that might support you in projects or things that are coming up for you. And so it might be a situation where you feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but then you access that sense of confidence within yourself and find that place of connection with people. So this activates softness of character. And the message is soft is transformative. So softness seems to be the message. Capricorns, I find typically they have a soft side to them, but they're such hard workers and such diligent, like, got to get this done, that sometimes people don't see that part of them. Obviously, the rest of their chart will give more information, but I feel like this is just a reminder for them, particularly with this scorpionic energy, to lean a little bit more on their emotional side, to go into that gentleness. They don't have to work so hard or strive so hard or push so hard. It's just, being a little more gentle with themselves and seeing how things unfold. Really just
that flower does. The 11th house is kind of like the stage, is audience, social media. You could start a new social media. It's like, that really does look like you're sitting up on stage and being confident and showing yourself. And,
this flower here.
Backing, and you've got backing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All
so
right.
The hollyhock, and then we've got Aquarius. Next.
Aquarius has Scorpio over the 10th house. So that's career, new beginnings. Again, this might have been something you were insecure about, fear-based. You wouldn't normally do this, but now you're kind of ready to, you've got the motivation, the drive to initiate a new way in your career, a new path. Now, these eclipses have been shaping you up that way all this last 18 months. So I would say you have sort of you're okay to do something now. You're over the fear around taking a risk in your career, taking some kind of bold movement towards initiating a new path in your career that you normally wouldn't tell people you wanted to do. Like, there'll be people around you would be really surprised. This is like a secret thing you want to do. Like, suddenly you become a tarot card reader and you've been a banker, so it's like something shifts in your career and it's taboo, even like your family doesn't believe in it. It's going against your family. But you do it. It's like, you're ready. You have the confidence to do it. You kind of like see that it's the truth. The truth comes out that you don't like your job. You want to quit it, or it could be conflict. The truth comes out about a situation at work that makes you want to quit and liberate from that job. But then it really does put you in a better situation, or you find a true job, something you've really wanted. Because remember, we're looking at desires here, something you desire, but now you have the confidence to go for the job you do really desire to do, a higher desire, that it's good or it helps. Transformative, Scorpio is also the psychologist, the therapist. You suddenly decide you want to be a psychologist and be a therapist and help people transform themselves. And then it's like a liberation. So in other words, it's like in your 4th house, you've got Uranian opposing it. It shocks people, surprises your family. That would be a really simple way to look at it. Go ahead.
All right. We have gardenia, and I love the purity of this flower based on what you were saying before. It's that it's a truth. It's something that's so true for you. It's this pure of heart revelation that you have as for Aquarians, and it activates shifting your perception, and the message is transform your weaknesses into strengths. And this magnifies, and I love this particular part, seeing your shadow side in a positive light. So being able to see those parts of you that you don't necessarily like in a whole new way, which then gives you that ability to make a bold move or take a bold approach to your career. Do something, like you were saying too, that's taboo or unconventional to your family or to society. And so, I mean, that's what Aquarians are here to do in general, is to mix it up and to pioneer something new. And so this is really feels to me like going to give a segment of the population who have Aquarius in their chart to actually do that, to move into that even more.
Yeah. And, Mars over your 10th house is kind of like a leader energy. I mean, you're going to take leadership. You're being bold. You're being brave. And then Uranus is your ruling planet in your 4th house. So you're really liberating from your old ancestry. You're releasing the oppression of the ancestry. What is supposed to be of the family in the ancestral line. So it's like you're liberating, you're breaking, you're being the black sheep of the family.
Yeah. I've, probably most people that watch us may feel that sometimes. They feel like they are,
I'm a black sheep of my family, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't feel, I mean, I felt like I was a little, but I didn't. But then I said something to my mother about it and she didn't disagree with me. So I'm like, oh, right. Well, I guess I have confirmation then.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm a total black sheep in my family, 100%. Been that way my whole life.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. I've gotten over it.
You say with so much enthusiasm and energy.
Well, it's like I've gotten, you transform from the place where you're just hiding yourself. You don't want to be who you are in the family because you don't want to deal with it. And then you get to a place where you just don't care anymore and you tell them to sort of jump in a lake.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, being authentically and truly you.
Yep. You don't have to, whatever. But yeah. So anyway, so Pisces. We're ready for Pisces.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So Pisces, you guys have Saturn in your ascendant or your 1st house for 3 years. So that's pretty serious. Very serious time for Pisces. You're really restructuring your lives. You're maturing big time. You're taking on responsibilities. You're being very responsible. That's why my son is rising Pisces. He's being very much more responsible. I love it. And then so Scorpio hits your 9th house. So new traveling. I hope so. My moon is Pisces. So new projects around traveling, new beginnings, or maybe my son gets a contract to travel and perform and go to different countries and cultures. Now, if you are Pisces rising and it could be later in life, romance, travel, meet a partner, romance later in life. It could be physical again. Always assume sex can be in the story there with that. So it's like travel, new beginning. Could be you take a new course that you're afraid to do. You want to, you bite the bullet, you pay the money for it, you go for it. Could be you start learning astrology. In fact, I'm considering taking some more astrology classes. I'm shopping around. You might decide to do it, go for it, a particular aspect of astrology I want to learn about. Or classes, you initiate a new group of classes or teaching. You're exploring. It's like a detective. I mean, the energy of Scorpio over the night, you really get obsessed with spiritualism or astrology, start digging deeper, going down that rabbit hole. You could initiate being a mental counselor, psychology, spiritual coaching, teaching, because you have the South Node in Libra over your 8th. So it's like you're letting go of what people think about you and doing really what you want to do. You've been afraid to step forward and be a spiritual coach. Now you decide to do it. Because remember, you've got Saturn in your first, so you're taking on new responsibilities, but this is brave, you know, you're going for it, as it were. Now there might be shadow, let's go for that. There might be conflict around spiritual beliefs, conflict with people in the third house. So that's arguments, you know, arguing with people around what you're doing, your spiritual new path, or what you want to learn. But there could be verbal conflicts with people around you all of a sudden, but you break through, you're honest, you're truthful, you say, no, too bad, this is who I am, this is where I'm going with it. I want to learn this path. Or you suddenly decide to travel and upset the people around you because they want you to stay and deal with all the stuff that you're dealing with your family. I don't know. That just came to my mind. But there'll be like, there is potential conflict with the opposition to the third house. But also you could have a complete another more spiritual awakening, a whole new breakthrough in something that you now believe. One of the things I keep sort of talking about my family is it's a very politically centric family. And you know, I'm a Pisces moon, and I'm really feeling like a lot of this is almost culty like you can't think differently in your political family background. And it's like, I just keep telling everybody this is a cult. You know, this is, if you don't think the way the father thinks, and I'm just telling it straight out to them. I mean, that's very new moon Scorpio in the ninth. I'm being very honest about what I think about the political religion, you know.
Interesting.
You know, so it's just my belief, I'm having a new perspective about it, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling them honestly, and it's like they don't have anything to say because I don't believe in politics as a my family are atheists. They're all atheists. And so I feel like their religion is politics and their God. And I say I'm an atheist to that religion. So it's a little bit conflicting, right? It's third house opposition. But it's funny, it's not as negative, it's not hostile. Scorpio can be hostile, Mars is hostility, but I'm being honest. And so when you're coming from a place of truth now, you're not going to be oppressed. The energy you're coming from is somewhat more respected. So it's sort of opening their minds too. They're sort of seeing what I'm saying. They're not arguing with, they're silent. They're like, whoa, I didn't think about it like that. So, you know, you're opening minds up. Your mind is opening up. You're being honest. You're expressing truths that are helping people have transformations. You know, this is opening up people's perspectives when it's in the ninth and third. So that's
I love that I love what you were sharing too about that, because it's not necessarily about everyone agreeing with each other. It's just about being open to listening to the other person's perspective and then sitting with that. And maybe you do have a change of heart or a change of mind, or maybe you don't. Maybe that anchors in what you already believe to be true, but you have that respect and that love and that honor for one another to be able to at least listen to what they have to say.
And that's the thing. It's like in my family, if you even imply that you're not on board with that particular political, you just don't say, it's like you don't talk. And that's like, I said to, and my dad said, I don't want to talk about it. I said, Daddy, that is not healthy. That is a family like a cult. And then he went, oh, wow. And then we started talking about it. And it's like, you know, it's healthy to be able to talk about different opinions and different views and not be, you know, no, don't think the other way, you know. So that's what's happening with that third and that ninth polarity in my life. And where we're being truthful, these truths are coming out. And it's like, my dad was so shocked. That's the Iranian thing. He's like shocked that I wasn't behind his political belief. And it was like, there's a shock in him. And it's like, I remember his body just went, oh. And I went, yes, Daddy, that's not my view. We don't agree on that, you know? And so there's that surprising element to it with the Uranian there. So, but it's again, liberates us because now we've broken through that lack, that wall that it creates.
So the flower for Pisces is, to me, is more of a remedial for the intense energies that they might be feeling, because Pisces is already very emotional as it is, and there is an intensity with them already, and now we're bringing in the Scorpio aspect to it as well. they can be a little bit more on the like Eeyore, everything is bad and it's like this great cloud all the time. And this pink spirea is reminding them this activates laughter, and the message is let your inner child play. So this feels like a message for anyone with Pisces in their chart to not be so serious, to recognize, yes, there's going to be some emotional turbulence and some emotional waters. Can you do something to move that energy through play or through something joyful or something that you love, something that doesn't require you to go too deep, but yet accessing it. Just feeling a sense of freedom while also being supported.
Right. That's right. So there is that because you can continue and not tell people what you think or believe just to keep everything happy, but then you're not free. So it's like being free. You can't live like that. So you've got to be free, and then let happen what happened. But when you're doing it in higher, shall we say, motivation, then the results are usually very fine. They're okay. It's just your fear is there, that if you cross that belief system, there's a fear. But actually, when you cross it, you discover everybody kind of is better for it too.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it opens people's minds, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So
thanks, Amalia.
There you have it, folks.
Thanks for everybody who joined in, and hopefully give us likes if you like it.
Yes, please, please, please. Let me go pop over there really quickly and just see if there's any questions or comments. Okay, I don't see anything here, but please do share with us how it's resonating with you and how the energies are feeling as time goes on. I mean, you can always refer back to this video over the next few weeks, or even, refer to ones from the past, from, previous moon cycles that might give you some insights or some clues as to what's showing up now, because it's not just this 2 or 4 week period, it's beyond that. So it's really great to be able to review some of the energies, and things will start to make sense. The more you play here, the more you start to put things together, and it's like, oh, this is making sense, which is really cool. And then if you would like any more energetic flower support, or you'd like to understand different aspects of what's going on energetically outside of astrology, I'm happy to support. Madelaine is there with her astrological wisdom and tarot card validations and guidance as well. So, there's lots of different ways that we can support you and help you along the journey beyond these videos. But if this is all that you are connected to now, we are hoping that you're enjoying it and that you are gleaning what you need from them, and being able to receive the gift that we are giving each 2 weeks of the moon cycle for all of you.
Yep. Good luck through all of this. Hopefully it is, I don't think it's going to be smooth for anybody, but there is for sure transformation on the other side. That is way more liberating.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It is. All right, everyone. We will see you in
a couple weeks. New Moon Gemini, right? End of the month, 27th. New Moon Sagittarius. I'm sorry, New Moon Sagittarius. Full Moon Gemini, New Moon Sagittarius coming in there.
I'm just realizing I can't stop the live, Madelaine, because I made you host earlier, so I need you to give it back so I can do the technology on this end.
Okay.
Unless you would like to.
What do I do? Oh yeah, I'll just I think you have to reclaim me. Go to me and then go to you and reclaim your host.
Okay. All right.
There we go.
Got it. Okay. I reclaimed my power.
Woohoo! There you go. Scorpio New Moon.
All right. We'll see you soon, everyone.